the thing with this bike is it's very mechanical. By that much, very odd, but in that sort of GS sort of way. Right, hello everybody. Well, here we are at last. It's taken a while. Get this bike out of the road. Do you know, so these things sort of, you know, lots of things get in the way, and I think, oh no, I'll just leave it at Billy's. I'll pick it up when I can. But yes, it's new bike day, and this is actually, do you know what? Only the second time I've ridden it. I picked it up and stuck it in the garage. I tiddled around with it a little bit, but not done much else. So this is my first proper ride out on this bike, but I have made some observations. So yes, sorry, the introduction to my Moto Guzzi V85TT, and I'm very pleased I am with it too. We put the new tyres on, which I'll show you in a sec, and I got plans for this bike and what I'm going to do to it, with things I'm adding to it, and some kit that I got sent I'll tell you about. But yeah, let's go and have a look at it. Let's go and show you what on earth I've bought and why I bought it, because I'm still quite confused about that. But yeah, let's go and have a look at it, and then we're going to do some riding, and we'll have a chat what I think about the bike, my initial impressions of it, what they are. Right, come on, let's go and have a look, come on. Right, so here we are. Here it is, the Moto Guzzi V85TT. So, what have I actually bought? What have I actually bought? You know, I nearly said that I bought somebody else's problem. The bike itself is actually in really great nick. It's a 2019, in fairly standard trim, but I think the people that own this before, it's had two owners, and they used it for, the last people to use it for touring. So it's got 12,000 miles on it, but that's only effectively a couple of thousand miles a year. So it's not had a lot of use really. And everything on it feels pretty tight, and when we go for riding it, I'll sort of discuss that. But what else has it got on the bike? So we've got the hard panniers. So the hard panniers are great, but I must admit, and as I say on the way around, I'm more of a fan of soft panniers. The reason for that being is you have to really cock your leg to get on it, which is a bit hard work, isn't it, really? So, yeah, I've had hard panniers on bikes before, and the amount of times I used to whack my knee, and this is no different. But I've got them, so that's great. It's got a extendable screen, which is quite nice. So that goes up and down with this bar, and I'm going to come back onto that bar again in a minute. It's got things like cruise control, the switch gear's lovely. I think the steering, the width of the bars is great. So it's always a thing that a lot of people say about these, about how they really like the wide bars. It's got hand grips. The hand guards stand on these? I can't remember. But it's got decent mirrors, adjustable suspension. It's got that relatively big tank. Oh, you see what I mean? Relatively big tank. But in terms of the actual fit and finish, it's fantastic, you know, it's really good. I would have loved to have had the one with the yellow on it. I always like that. Maybe I could put some yellow on this one. But the actual bike itself is in pretty good nick, and it's, compared to, you know, a new bike, there's just those little rub areas where people have been using it, and they've been using it properly. It's not been abused. And you can sort of feel that as soon as you get on it, because it feels really tight. But the actual height of the bike, I'm what, 5'11", 5'10 and a half, 5'11", shrinking by the day. I have no problem flat-footing this, which I think is really good for me. And it doesn't feel like a heavy bike when you're riding it around, and even pushing it around, compared to, say, my Africa Twin, which was a lot taller than this. Probably heavier as well. I don't even know what the weight of this is. I don't worry too much about specs. It's actually how the bike feels at the end of the day. You know, it could be another 200 kilos, but if it was really easy to wheel around, it doesn't really matter, does it? So, you know, all those little features are really nice. And to me, it looks like the finish on these bikes is pretty long lasting. The only thing that's had on it, where the bolts are for the heads, or the covers, one of them had got a little bit rusty, so we just took that rust off, and that was it. But for a bike which is sort of 6.5 years old, something like that, you know, no issue at all. And obviously it's not covered huge mileage, is it really? But oh, this is the hard bit, it's getting on and off. Let me just show you some of the things which are on this bike, which went in when I got it. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I'm going to be doing to it, some of the bits I'm adding. Okay, let's do that. So I've got the genuine Moto Guzzi panniers on here, which is great. These are really good quality. I'll tell you, they're really good quality. They got a really rugged lock system on here. And the way that these come on and off, you put, which I had to work out my own because I didn't get a handbook. Key goes in there and then you pull that lever up and then they just plop off, so it's great, and they're really nice and secure. So that was really nice. And they're nicely put together. They're not flimsy. This is pretty high grade aluminium on here, and they're pretty lightweight. While I've got it, what I will be fitting navigation wise is going to be the Carpuride, the 602S Pro. Now, I'm going to be doing a separate episode on this when I finally put all this bike together. But Carpuride supplied that to me, and this is actually going to fit on here. It's going to fit up there. So that'll be straight in front of me. It's a 6-inch screen, but it's the CarPlay system, so I can basically run my phone through it, which is what I want. It's a nice simple one, but it's with this one, the reason I went for this was because it can charge the battery. It's got a battery in it. It'll put power back into the bike or back into the battery, which is really handy for stuff like this. So I'm going to do a full episode on that once I put that together. But yeah, thanks to Carpuride for sending me that one, and I'll be getting the episode out soon. But it's quite a heavy unit, that, really heavy, really well made, that one. So yeah, so I've got the panniers, which are really good. So when you look at, you know, is there any issues with the bike after so many years? Nothing. Do you know, there's nothing funky about this bike. You know, you get a little bit of sort of bubbling and stuff, but in areas where you'd expect it. It's got a centre stand, which is really nice. You get on these Guzzis, because you've got shaft drive, and you get the guard on there as well, which is great. I presume that's standard. You get one hell of a shock absorber on the back there, because it's a single shock on here. So it's sort of like a single-sided swinging arm sort of thing, really, but it's not. But with the shaft drive, I have no worries about chains, which is awesome. But I think actually, you know, this is actually worn quite well. In respect, I know when I looked at the bike, there was a few little rattles. There was a rattle coming from here, and I think just a little thing just needed going over and just tightening up a few bits, because it had been, you know, toured all over, and you get those heat cycles and stuff going on. So, you know, nice seat, lovely. It's almost like Alcantara, really lovely. And this is similar to the seat I had on my NC 750X, where you got a little bit of a lump there, so it's nice. It acts like a backrest on there. I have got my box, my nice smaller metal alley box, which will match these nicely, which is going to go on here. So I've got the plate and everything for that, and that's quick detachable. Have a quick look at the dash. Otherwise I'll be boring you stupid with this. So it all lights like a Christmas tree. So it is very bright. I like it. It's very clear when you're not in bright sunshine. It is very clear, and I like that. But it is quite small. But with the Carpuride system, which is going to sit up here, I think I'm going to be looking more at that than this, really, to be honest with you, because I think the Carpuride, I can sort of customise the screen on there, but it will give me speed on it, which is great. But apart from that, it is actually a nice dash, but it is quite small in that respect, and you know, my eyesight's not that great. You have obviously your keys down here, which is again is a very Italian thing, and my Ducatis were like that. They have it down there. It's quite an interesting place to put it, but yeah, it seems to work. Nothing gets in the way. And there's my my little tyre pressure monitoring system. I've already got my clamp on for my cameras and stuff like that. Cruise control. But the actual switch gear is really nice quality, really nice. It's nice to see something that isn't being completely shotgunned with buttons. This is all very clean and simple, really good. Obviously locking fuel cap on there. Right, let's get away from this incredibly windy place. I've had to anchor my camera down and let's go for a ride and have a chat about the bike. Come on. Right, so what are my impressions riding the bike? Well, you know, it's really nice. It's everything I wanted it to be, and I've not been disappointed in it. The actual seating position is fine. I might push the bars a little bit further forward. There's enough angle on them, or you know, movement if you like, that I can get it into the correct position. But it feels okay as it is. They're quite nice wide bars, which is lovely. The thing with this bike is it's very mechanical. By that much, very odd. But in that sort of GS sort of way, you know, you've got a nice clunk in the gears and that sort of stuff. It feels, you know, it's got that sort of build to it. You know, you're not removed from the process of the engine and the gears and the steering, all the rest of it. That you're sort of all part of that still, which I really like. And it all feels very positive. In terms of the cabin, if you like, I love the switchgear. I think the switchgear is great. This has got cruise control. You know, the switches in there are all nice and positive, which I like, which sort of gives you that extra feeling that it's a nice piece of kit. With those new tyres on, obviously the steering is now slightly stiff because you got that fresh rubber on there, and it's a lovely feeling, that, isn't it, when you get put new rubbers on. It's not going to sound right, is it? But it all feels very taut and tight. Of course, we've got that lovely shaft drive, so I've got no chains to worry about. Suspension is great, compliant. I'm not getting battered about on it at all. It feels really good. There's plenty of adjustment in the suspension. I've got damping and all the rest of it on here, so that's really nice. That touring screen, I've got the adjustable screen on here, so that's great. And as I said, I can put my my carpet ride on there, which would be awesome. Mirrors are great. There's no vibration through the mirrors or anything like that. When I compare it to a lot of bikes that I've ridden recently, you know, some mirrors are just completely pointless. What was the one? Was it the Bantam? No, I couldn't see anything from the mirrors at all. Handguards working great. There's a few little extras on here with that screen. I've got these, the person that owned this before me has manufactured some little bumps in here, little sort of plugs, which stop the airflow coming up. I think that might be a thing with these Guzzi's, isn't it? Guzzi's, that they have airflow come up sort of in front of the tank, which sort of brushes your face. So I've got those in there. They're obviously put there for a reason. But apart from that, and with the panniers, she's fairly standard for a bike which is, what we're on, like 6 years old now. She's great. The screen is interesting. You know, you get that, to make the screen bigger, you've got a tiny lashy little viewing screen in the middle, but you've got a big surround around it with all the warning lights. So that's quite interesting. It's not the easiest to see when it's really sunny or the sun's on it, but the carpet ride will mirror that pretty much, I think. So, and that's going to be dead in front of me. And it's got the carpet ride, although this has got a sunshade on it, it's got a sunshade on it as well, so that should be pretty good. I've got all my USB connectors, as I said. I'm going to be putting that TR100 on there. But in terms of what the engine's like, the sort of the real meat of this bike, isn't it? It's that engine. Compared to my Stornello, it's definitely a much smoother engine. Now I know that some of that's going to be down to the bulk of the bike doing that. It's controlling sort of vibration and things. But you could definitely tell that this is a next generation engine. Obviously it's another 100 cc's, but it just feels like it. You don't feel like you're working it that hard. Not that I have to work the Stornello that hard, but you know, you have to really use the engine on the Stornello. This is really taking that away from it. This has got more oomph. It's just smooth throttle response and all the rest of it. It's just lovely, but really nice. And the thing I don't have with this, which I have with the Stornello, is the warm-up time. The Stornello needs a little warm-up. When you get the bike out, you've got to start it up and let it run for a few minutes. And you wait for the two lights to go out on the dash, which start flashing at you. It's sort of like a cold start warning, I think. that you're not, you know, don't want to thrash it. With this, not that I'm going to thrash this from cold, but you don't have that. There's no worry about it conking out because I'm going to pull away and I'm a bit slow in gears and all the rest of it. But you know, the layout is very distinct. I am slightly on top of it. I would say that the seat is firm but not uncomfortable. I won't know that until I do a reasonable distance on it. But that's what my dog bed is for. my favourite piece of kit, the dog bed. But it's a lovely smooth engine, really nice. But you can feel it. You're not disconnected from the actual sense of the engine. You can feel what it's doing, and when you're putting it under load, when you're too low a gear and all the rest of it, which is really nice. The engine actually talks to you on this one, compared to a lot of ultra modern bikes, where you're slightly separated from the process, which is one of the reasons why I bought this, because there's so many of the reports thought that it's such a characterful, I very love that word, but characterful bike to ride, sort of tour or adventure. And it does sit on its own, doesn't it? I think compared to so many other bikes, there's nothing else that looks like this. You know, I was saying about, you know, will all bikes eventually look the same? I think this is still distinct enough, like a GS 1250. I don't think so much on the later GSs, but on the early GSs, they're very distinct. You know what it is when it's coming down the road. It's got a distinct sound and a very distinct look, which is really nice. Maybe this will be the last of these sort of bikes that we'll get before they all start to meld into one. So what do I plan to do with this bike? I'm not sure. I think we're going to try and do some pillion touring on it. I think we got the idea for that. Whether I'll do a long tour on it, it waits to be seen. Maybe when I've retired, and whether that will be in 2028 or prior to that, who knows at the moment. I really couldn't explain that one. But I think it'd be nice to do a good tour on it. And I think it'd be nice to do some of those little camping trips that Karen's sort of doing. Karen's doing a lot more camping than I am. But load it up and just see what it's like for that, in that perspective. I'm going to be intrigued to see what it's like fuel economy wise. We have the fuel gauge. You need to put some fuel in it actually, but I think this does have pretty good range on it. And I think if you're careful with the throttle, I think you'll get a pretty good mileage out of here. It'd be nice to think I could get all the way down to the house in France on it. But apart from that, for a bike which is 6.5 years old, it's actually in pretty good nick. I'm pleased with it. You know, one of those things, I've learnt my lesson in the past about seeing something and then umming and ahhing about it and then don't do it. And then you go back, oh, we'll have that, and then it's gone. And then as soon as I saw this, I just thought, yeah, there's a little connection there, yeah. If it rides okay, I'll have you. You could come and join the little family. So there it is, the Moto Guzzi V85TT. I really like it. I know I've not done much riding on it yet, but you know, those initial impressions are so important. And I sort of knew about this bike, and you know, really, I suppose I really wanted to like it, and that's dangerous, isn't it? Because you really want to like it, and you think, oh, that's a disappointment as soon as you get on it. But I broke my normal MO for this sort of thing, you know, buy it before riding it, and then riding it, I think, oh God. But as soon as I got on this bike, when I did the test ride on it, I just thought, yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. It's simple, it's mechanical, it feels robust, and I just think it'd be a nice bike to own. So we'll see how we get on with it. But yeah, we'll do some touring. I think it'd be nice doing some touring on this, and just having a play around in it. Go a bit further afield when we don't want to take the little bikes, the little 350s, which we love touring on, but when we want to go a little bit further afield. Should be interesting. We've had some nice time away on this bike. Right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you on Wednesday. Take care.